Hello everybody, thank you for joining me on my video today. I'm going to do another one of my talky videos. This time I thought I'd do a little bit of a craft haul, so to speak. It's only 3 stamps, but also to show you what I'm going to be working on to go in my newly decorated altered book. And this book was from a charity shop. I know some people don't like taking books and using them or altering them. However, I feel that if a book is in a charity shop, it's an oldish book but not a vintage book, the chances are that if it doesn't get sold, these eventually will go to landfill, because a lot of them can't go to recycling because of the sorts of glues and things that are used to bind them, and an awful lot of books do get wasted every year from libraries and so on and so forth, because people just don't buy them or want them anymore. So I feel that by recycling it into an art journal, I'm giving it a new lease of life. So on Thursday of this week, just gone, I did a video where I showed how I decorated the cover of the book. So I wanted to make it, I want to sort of make this nature themed. So I went for a bit of a steampunk nature vibe. So not really overly nature, but then inside, and I got, I should say, I was inspired to do this by Kari Gibson. She has a channel on YouTube, Kari Gibson Art, and I will link that down in the description box. And she's doing an altered book journal, which she's going to use for everything to do with insects. Well, I wanted mine to be a bit broader than just insects, so mine's going to be nature. But mine is decorated very differently from how she did hers, because mine, I wanted it to be very mixed media. But she did show in her videos, she's doing like different parts. She has been showing how she's folded pages and made different bits. So what I've started to do is I've started to make myself some little sort of pockets. So I'm going to be doing this tag today, so I'm going to take that out. So I've stuck some of the pages together to make them a bit more sturdy, made a little pocket from a bit of other book paper. Then I've got another pocket here with another tag that I'm going to do. I've done some where I've torn some of the pages to make some different sort of layers and textures, and I have also done something that she showed as well. There's some more torn ones. Can I find it? There's one where I've done like a flippy outy page, which she shows how about doing as well. Can't find it. That's it, there we go. So I've got a pocket, different sort of pocket on that side, and then a flippy out page there, so that you can do a bit bigger and do some different things on there. And I've been using some of my washi tapes, which is something I also want to do in here. So today I'm going to be decorating this tag, which is then going to go in this page of my new art journal. So I may just do that, these pages for my art journaling video for on Tuesday. So I'm going to put that to the side, and then I'm going to show you these. Now I'm going to fully blame my purchase of these stamps on Louise Sims, who I was watching her do a live on Facebook or last week I think it was, and she was using these stamps from Polkadoodles. Now I just love Polkadoodles stamps. I don't really have many in my collection, but I do love the idea of building up the flowers and things like that. So she was using these, which is Floral Fireworks 1 and Floral Fireworks 2. And then she said they were in the clearance section on the website. So of course I had to go to the clearance. Now these stamps are usually, I think it was $14.99 each. These ones were $5.99. So I got both of them. But then of course while I was there I had to have a good look round. And this stamp set, which is also I think usually $14.99, was £4. So fell in love with that bird, fell in love with those flowers. It's got some fabulous sentiments on it. So this is the one I'm going to use today for my tag, because I think it's really nature inspired. Let's put those ones aside. Let's get them out. I totally haven't used them. When I ever do a craft haul part of a video, I really do have a thing where I really don't want to use them before I show them, because I sort of feel it's cheating. It's probably not, but that's how I always feel. So I'm going to keep those. So actually, if you look on the comparison of the packaging to the size of the stamps are actually bigger than the packaging. So I'm thinking that I'm going to want some flowers today, some of the leaves, and probably the bird to go onto this tag, to go into my But I liked this sort of dreamy watercolory look, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by making a sort of watery background, and I thought I would use some of the pretty Gets Gritty explosion powders. So I've got Unicorn, which is sort of purple, and Poseidon, which is a blue. Now I'm going to put a little bit of kitchen towel down because these do tend to sort of spill over. And I'm going to go with my more delicate mister, because otherwise sometimes I find if I use the really chunky mister, so to speak, my distress sprayer, the droplets are so heavy that they sort of splat it about a bit more. So I'm going to just do a sprinkle and spritz technique. So I'm going to put a bit of the Unicorn up here and down there, and I'm going to put some of the blue, I think, in the middle, and I'm going to probably mix them up a little bit anyway, but I don't want it to be too heavy a colour. I want it to sort of be quite watery and delicate. I just love when you sort of hit those particles, so you can see where the as soon as the water hits it, that's why they're called explosion powders, because it's like an explosion. Now it always looks darker when you first do this bit than when you actually then dry it. Now you could at this point, and I think I might do, get another tag. So I'll grab a tag from here if you don't want to waste some of this, and pop it on the top and pull a bit of that colour off onto there. So that's the look I'm going for. I want it to be very sort of watery, very dreamy. So what I will do, that was nice as well, I will dry this off, and whilst I'm drying that off, I'm also going to, off camera, just stamp a few of these flowers and leaves so that they're ready, so that we can really get into the making of the tag. So I'll see you in a moment. Hello again, I am back. I'll just show you, the explosion powders have a pigment and some mica in, so just to show you, because I've watered it down quite a lot, it won't be as shiny as if it's been kept thicker and not lifted off, but you can certainly see in certain areas how shiny that mica is. I'll show you the other one, which I will use for something else. This one's a lot more subtle because I was lifting it off of the other one. I stamped out quite a few of the flowers, and then when I was looking at, as I was cutting them out, I thought actually I only really want them to be around the bottom, and I don't want them to be too thick because they're going to go in the book. I don't really want to make it too bulky because it's not going to be able to sit really nicely inside the journal. But I have got on this set as well these sort of branchy leaves, so I thought I could stamp some of those directly onto the tag. So I'm going to go up the sides, I think, of that. So I thought I'd use some archival ink, and the one I generally always head to is the Distress Colour Archival, which is peeled paint. It's one of my favourites. So let's give a little bit of, I'm going to turn it this way just because I find that easier. So it's a bit there. So this is going to be quite subtle. It's not going to be in your face, which is what I want. I want it to just sort of be in the background, just to provide a bit of sort of texture and foliage for the flowers to be in front of. And I was going to use the smaller one, but actually I think I'm just going to stick with the big one and just bring it down a bit like this. Because you don't need, because it's only a smallish tag, I don't need to worry too much about all the different perspective and things. So it's a bit more, just that. And I'm using more than one sort of imprint of the ink so that I get the darker and the lighter, so it just gives it some sort of depth. Let's have a little bit more just up here and there, a bit there. Get carried away when I'm doing this. So there we go. So that's just a little bit of interest. Let's hold it up just in case you can't see it from down there. There we go. And then I'm going to colour my elements that I've cut out, and I thought for a change I'll use my proper watercolours, my watercolour paint palette. Now this one, I've had it for a little while. This is a Jane Davenport palette. Let's move these over here. And these have all been stamped and cut out from watercolour cardstock, so I know they're going to be alright. And I've used the archival ink pad so that I know it won't run. So this is the, I do believe it's the bright, so you can see the state of mine. They are a bit of a mess. But I don't use watercolours that often, but every now and again I do like the effect that you get. So I'm just going to wake them. You can see mine go over into each other because I'm terrible. I'm a terribly messy watercolourist. I'm not an expert at painting by any stretch, and I'm going to use a water brush, although I'm not overly using it for the water inside the brush. I'm just using it more as a brush. So I'm just going to put a little bit of water on here first, just so that I can, because I want a really sort of flowy, sort of watery colour look. I know that sounds a bit daft when you're using watercolours, but I think you probably understand what I mean. I add a bit of water where I want it to flow out just to the edges a bit more. Might put a little bit of, nope, a little bit of pink just around the edges, just as a different colour. And I'm going to let that sit that aside and do the rest before I add anything into the middle, because I want to add like a yellow in, and I don't want it to really sort of run together, because purple and yellow is going to make a browny colour, which I don't really want. So I might have to just zap them briefly in a moment. Let's do a different purple. That's not got much water on it. Let's give that a bit more of a spritz. Leave the lid off. So this is a bit of a darker purple. I find that this particular colour watercolour set, this, because it's the brights, it's got a lot of purples and pinks in it, which, so if you'd like doing florals, it's a really good one. If you want to do skin tones or anything like that, I'm sure that some people will be able to work out how you get them, but for me, because I'm not much of a watercolorer, I wouldn't know. So I also have another set that's a Prima one that's got more sort of skin tones in it. Oh, I like that one. I think I prefer that one to that one. I might add a little bit more darkness into this one now. Now I've seen that one. Oh, it's that one, wasn't it? I might go for, because it's watercolour card, I can sort of get away with it a bit. I think I might do them all like that. This is the thing, when you're crafting, you don't always have a total plan. I usually have an idea of what I want to use, but I don't necessarily have a full-blown sort of image in my head, and I prefer it that way, because if I do have an image in my head, that's generally when I'm always disappointed, because it doesn't turn out as I want it to. Whereas if I don't have a proper image, then whatever happens is fine, because, you know, it can't be wrong. Well, it can't, to be fair, it can't be wrong anyway, in my opinion, but because it's crafting, it's fun, it's meant to be relaxing, it's not meant to be a chore or something to beat yourself up about. Let's get a bit of that on there. Let's go back in with that. Oh no, it wasn't that one, was it? No, it's that one. Now ideally, so I've been told, you should always leave mediums to dry naturally, especially paints, because I think you can like burn some of the colour out or dry some of the colour out, the pigments out. However, I am the most impatient crafter ever, and to be totally honest, my heat tool is probably my best friend in terms of crafting. I'm afraid I do dry just about everything with my heat tool. Now see that green for me is a bit too limey, So let's add a little bit of the darker in as well, to just give it a bit of variegated leaf. I might even just see if I add a little bit of blue in there, just to really maybe tone it down even more, because it's still quite bright, and I don't think bright is going to, I wanted it quite subtle. Now if you're really not happy and you think, oh, that's too much, get your piece of kitchen towel. There, that's better, that's more what I was going for. So now that has just lifted some of that darkness off. If you then want to go back in, that's fine, but I think with the colour palette I'm going for, that's more of what I wanted. I'm going to just wipe some of that up because I want to do this bird, and I think I'm going to do the bird to be a little bit different from the flowers, otherwise it's all just going to become very one sort of toned and all blending in together. Let's get some more water going, spritz them again, and I think because we've got the very purpley pinky flowers, let's go with more of a yellowy toned again, like so. Let's, do you know what I didn't do with that leaf, did I? I didn't put any water on, so I'm going to just put a coat of yellowy wash. Didn't really mean to do that, but never mind. And let's put them together. So this hasn't got an orange in it, but if you obviously mix your yellow and your red together, you'll get that sort of orange tone. Let's give it a bit down there. I want it to have quite an orange beak. A little orange beak. Now, I think maybe, just trying to think, a little bit of bluey green up here, maybe a bit more. Oops, that was too much, wasn't it? This is where kitchen roll is your friend, and let's give it a little bit darker there. Now this isn't as, I think, even though I did want it very watercolory, I do want it a little bit brighter than that. So let's give a bit more yellow, I'm thinking, up here. And again, just dabbing with my kitchen towel. A bit of that pale yellow there, just to bring that down into there. And again, a bit more of that orange on that part there, and into the tail. And this is what I do like about watercolours, you can sort of build them up as long as you're not mixing too much. So obviously if you start really mixing them, the wrong sorts of tones together, you are going to get a bit more muddiness, but I quite like that. I'm not quite sure what bird it is, but I'm quite happy that against those flowers that's going to look really nice. I'm going to give it a little zap. I won't turn off, I'll just carry on, so that I can put some yellow into the middle of these flowers as well. I tend to sort of gather them all in a pile to dry off. Now because it's watercolour card and it's got water now going into the fibres, it will curl, but it will, if you keep on drying or you turn it over or just sort of mould it with your fingers, you can get that. Look, see, that's now going back down flat again. It's not something I tend to overly worry about. So let's pop the bird and the leaf over there, and we'll just do a little bit in the middle with the what's on here for the centre of the flowers. Now of course, you know, if you want it, I'm just looking at this and I'm thinking that's not as bright as I like, so let's go in. Or you could get another medium, for example a pen, a permanent pen or something like that, and just go over that to give you a stronger look. I'm just going to dab some of that off. I'm quite happy with that though. And the other thing, once this is properly dry, I would go in with my white gel pen and add some little highlights. I might be able to get away with that if I give it another quick blast. Because they're not soaking wet. I'm going to see if I can get away with just a little bit of white gel pen on them, just for a couple of little highlights. Or you could go in with your glitter gels. I might do a little bit of glitter gel actually in the middle of the flowers. So let's just see. Let's start with the bird because that's been there. Let's give it a little bit of a white on the eye. Let's give them. Now do always make sure that things are properly dry before you start adding your pens on. I have ruined so many pens. I know I'm not now waiting, but that is quite dry. Just a little bit of highlight on there. I don't think you can really see it on here, so I'll just do a few lines and then just do a few lines really. It's just, I don't know what it is, it just gives you I think that's not quite dry, so that's not, it's working okay, but it's not as good as it would be if I had left these properly. So let's give that a few lines, a few dots, a few lines, a few dots. There we go. And I might add some glitter gel in there as well in a bit. So, right, let's have a look now. I want these stuck flat down. Now I'm just thinking I might just go round. I've got a Dusty Concord archival rather than a black, although black would probably be okay because I've got black in my stamping. But I'm just going to give that a little edge, and I'm going to lay out my images, and then I'm going to see where I want to put a sentiment, because I want to, I think, stamp my sentiment straight onto the background. So let's move it that way a little bit, like that, with that bit raggedy bit towards the top, I think. And let's have one down there, maybe one there. And we've got our leaf, and then I'm thinking the bird here. So I want to have my sentiment up here, so let's have a look. We've got, let's look at the packaging. Have a great day. There are so many beautiful reasons to be happy. Do something that makes your heart sing. I think that one. So do something. So let's have do something that makes your heart sing. Something like that. Let's get that one to start with. That's going to go about there. So let's use my archival. You could use your VersaFines, VersaFine Claire, but I have to say I do tend to go to my archives. I think you do get a bit of a better impression with some stamps with VersaFine. However, I do tend to have my archivals near me at all times, so they're the ones I do tend to use. And I'm hoping this stamp's okay. If it doesn't, stamp on a separate piece of card, stick it over the top. There you go, that's fine though, that's lovely. Now that's the first time that stamp has ever been stamped, because it's the first time I got it out the packet to stamp it. Right, sing. Let's just make sure. This is where you always have to make sure you got things the right way up. So that's going to go there. This is where we sort of hope, cross our fingers, say please stamp correctly on my tag. But actually sing might be quite nice if you have it. I'm going to move it down here just so I can really see. And give it a good old squish. Not too much actually. If you've got these clear stamps, sometimes you know, oh look at that. You don't want to sort of squish them too much, but to be fair, I think if you're buying clear stamps from good, well-known quality stamping companies, they are generally fine. I, to be totally honest, don't find much difference between the rubber stamps and a lot of the clear stamps that you get nowadays from, like I say, from good, reputable companies, because the quality now of clear stamps is just brilliant. So let's get a bit of glue. So like I say, normally if this was a tag I was putting on something else, I would be building this up with really 3D, but because it's going into my journal and it's going to be in the pages, I am going to stick them flat. And I've just realised I probably should have left that one up before I'd stuck this one on, because I wanted it to go, oh luckily, very luckily, there's a bit lift there so I can still stick that underneath. I'm not worried if it goes over the edges slightly, because again it's being tucked in, it's going to be fine. I am going to put a bit more glue now on there because that's now in its correct position. I do want it to sit pretty flat for me. This glue is quite quick grabbing, so now again I should have probably left, but I might just do that thinking about it. Yes, let's do that just on that side, so that we leave in a little bit of lift for that leaf to go underneath. I do like when I'm doing flowers to have some sort of green. I mean, if you think about it in nature, that is how it is, isn't it? That you've always got your green leaves. So, but having that in the background and then just having just a little bit of, I'm just wondering whether actually to go put that there. But then I feel like I need to, I may move that slightly. Got a little bit of wiggle room with these glues. And actually there, yes. That's it, I think. There we go. Let's build that up. And see, I would love to have done that really 3D, but I'm not going to, because I want it to sit flat in there. So let's think about there. So it's underneath the sing. Now see, my temptation is that I want to now stamp things in all those spaces, but I am actually going to try to keep this quite clean and simple for me, with not too much going on. I just want it to be about the flowers and the birds. So there we go. So hopefully you can see all that beautiful detail, and there's the sentiment, do something that makes your heart sing. And I will put some fibres or ribbons in the top there just to finish that off, which I'll do, and I'll take some photos which will be like joined on to the end of the video. So I hope you enjoyed my simple tag. Let's just put that there so we take that out of the way. And thank you very much for joining. If you do enjoy, do please like, and if you haven't already, subscribe. And as I always say, do love reading your comments. Some fabulous comments lately. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, bye bye.